Can the Giants sweep the Eagles on Sunday for the first time since 2007? Let's discuss. Welcome back to the Empire State Sports Report. I'm your host, Adrianna, also known as New York Giants fangirl. This podcast is brought to you by Believe Network and FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook is the #1 place to make all of your sports bets. They have everything from the NFL, MLB, golf, you name it. FanDuel Sportsbook has it. They have the best odds. They have boosts. They have no sweat parlays. Again, anything you need, you can find at FanDuel Sportsbook. Download the app and make sure to always bet responsibly. Today, to preview the Eagles, I have a very special guest. Her name is Symone. You might know her from social media. Her account is Symone with the Sports. She's an Eagles reporter, a big Eagles fan, and she's going to tell us everything that we need to know about the Eagles this weekend, what we can look forward to in this matchup, and what she thinks maybe some of the weak spots are that the Giants can hopefully exploit so they can take home the win. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it and welcome Symone to the podcast. Right. So welcome, Symone. I'm so excited to have her. Big Eagles fan, Eagles reporter. She's going to the game on Sunday, and we were just talking a little bit about the game, and we're both scared.
Pretty much sums it up. Yeah. I'm scared every game, but especially after last game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just saying that, I feel like the Giants team is competitive. We've seen them be competitive, and then the colossal fall off at the end of the Broncos game. I'm like, I don't know what team to expect at all now. And it was the same thing after the Saints game. Like going into the first Eagles game, I was like, we're gonna get killed. Like we're on a short week. We're missing Darius Slayton. We're I think that was when JMS was out. I'm like, we have questions about this, questions about that. Like, we know that the Eagles are just going to come out here and blow us out. And that game went no way like I expected it. Same thing with the Broncos game. And then the fall off with the Broncos, I'm like, this is what it's like being a Giants fan. This is like usually what I expect on Sundays.
And that's why I'm so shook from this game, because we don't know what team we're getting. Y'all look different every week. So it's like no way to really prepare for what Giants team is coming out on Sunday.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm optimistic because I think the Giants played the Eagles so well the first time around, which usually is not the case for this Giants organization as a whole for the last however long it's been, 10 years at least. So I'm optimistic about that. There are a lot of things on offense and defense that are going to be the same for the Giants, which is obviously beneficial. They're getting JMS back, their center, who's dealing with a concussion. But my biggest concern is that they could potentially not have Brian Burns, Trevon Holland, and Paulson Adebo. And as much as I dislike Sirianni as a person, he obviously is going to do what Sean Payton did as soon as Paulson Adebo went out and exploit the fact that Tay Banks is our other corner and he's not very good. So one thing that I think a lot of Giants fans are worried about specifically is AJ Brown, who obviously had a great game last week. He's being more involved. I think he had 2 touchdowns last week, if not more.
2.
So their passing game has been so much better. But if AJ Brown does not play, which it could be trending in that direction, he's not practiced 2 days in a row. Who else do the Giants have to watch out for besides the usual suspects like Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert, who also always seems to beat us?
Yeah. So past 2 days, AJ Brown didn't practice. This is something that he's been dealing with for a while. The hamstring injury kept him out a lot of training camp as well. I'll have to wait and see until the final designation, because a lot of times here and there throughout the weeks, we'll see him not practice for rest for the hamstring. It didn't specifically say rest on the injury reports, but some of the insiders are saying it's just precaution and rest, especially after such a big game last week. So we'll see. We'll have to see when the final designation come out. But obviously, Devonta Smith is somebody we know that can carry this team. He's been a wide receiver 1 for us before. And I mean, it's literally 1A, 1B with him and AJ Brown. Obviously, of course, AJ would add so much. But we are confident in our offense with Devonta Smith leading the charge. Obviously, Jahan Dotson is someone as well who, when we need him to come up big, he consistently comes up big. We also traded for Mechie this offseason from the Texans. He's slowly been getting more and more involved. But I feel like an offense The biggest issues with our offense has been the offensive line. A lot of injuries there. Cam Jurgens is the main one we're concerned about because he got injured in the game against the Vikings and he didn't practice yesterday. Not sure about today, but that's definitely the biggest question for us, is how the offensive line is going to hold up. Last week, Jalen Hurts was under tons of pressure, but was still able to make magic happen. So I just feel like if AJ Brown is not playing, then it's just honestly on this offensive line and on Jalen Hurts. I think we have enough talent to still make something shake on offense if, we take care of our own business when it comes to like play calling and, just keeping our star in the game. And if that's just Devontae, then, keeping him involved throughout the game.
Yeah. One of the things that the Eagles have done so well, it seems like, is always had a fantastic offensive line. And it feels like no matter who's been on that line, they've been able to make it work. But the first time the Giants played the Eagles, Landon Dickerson definitely didn't seem like himself. I think
he didn't play last time.
He didn't play. That's what it was, because he got injured right before. So he seems like he's good to go, though, this week. Did he play against the Vikings?
So it's just been a lot of injuries on our offensive line. Landon Dickerson specifically, he got injured in the preseason, had surgery in the preseason, and just wanted to play. Honestly, he probably should have been resting in like the first couple of games of the season. So he hasn't been 100% at all, which is why it shows up in games. Like it's been several games where he started but had to leave the game. Getting banged up. Cam Jurgens as well, our starting center. He's been dealing with injuries. Lane Johnson has been dealing with injuries. So it's really hard to be mad at the offensive line because they're just so banged up, and it's literally guys at 60% playing. And it's like at some point, it could be hurting us instead of just, using some of our depth pieces. But yeah, the story of the season has been the offensive line, which is very shocking for Philadelphia.
Yeah, not at all what we expected, especially after what we saw last year. I mean, obviously, Giants fans saw what Saquon did. We're all familiar. So that's the other thing, is the run game this year has not been as explosive as it's been in the past. And I'm sure the offensive line is a very big piece of that. But one thing that I'm expecting them to do this week is to really let Jalen scramble and run. And I think that's one of the things that the Giants have struggled with a bit. I mean, Bo Nix rushed for 2 touchdowns last week, seemingly out of nowhere, when he wasn't having these explosive runs or anything like that. So I think my expectation is that we're probably going to see a lot of Jalen Hurts scrambles and some fun runs this week that hopefully the Giants can stop or at least slow down a little bit.
Running for his life all the time. Because of the offensive line. Yeah, we should see a lot of that.
Yeah. There were a couple other players. So Quinion Mitchell left the game early and Jalen Carter didn't play last time the Giants played. So with those two guys being back, have you noticed a significant boost to the defense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So those are our two best defenders, Jalen Carter and Quinion Mitchell. Quinion last week held Jettas to 1 catch. And Jalen Carter, obviously, the pressure was all in Carson Wentz's face. But also, everyone's talking about Jalen Carter and Quinion Mitchell. We're also getting Nakobe Dean back. So last time we played the Giants, that was Nakobe Dean's first game back, but he only played on special teams because he's been hurt for so long. So against the Vikings, he got snaps on defense. So started for us on defense at middle linebacker, where he was last year on our Super Bowl run. And it was just like night and day. Obviously, going from not having Nakobe Dean, not having Jalen Carter, not having Quinion Mitchell, to having all three of them on the field. Nakobe Dean is huge for us when it comes to the run stopping. Obviously, Jalen Carter as well. So, we just saw in the Vikings game, it was just like night and day. And Nakobe Dean is like a green dot for us. So he's like one of the energizers, one of the engines of this defense. So you could just feel like the energy just shift so much. So yeah, it's gonna be big having Nakobe Dean, especially in run support. Jalen Carter and Quinion on the floor this time.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm worried about too. And I'm glad that we have JMS back, our starting center, because I think we're going to need as much of a boost on offense as we can get. And granted, the Giants' offensive line has been playing the best it's played in probably a decade, especially the tackles. So I'm hoping that with that type of play under their belt lately, that they're going to be able to handle Jalen Carter. But I am a little bit worried knowing that we didn't go against him the first time. And obviously, we know what type of player he is and what he brings to this team. But they're not the only players that the Eagles got back on defense, because Brandon Graham decided out of nowhere that he was going to unretire. So he's going to be back. And from what I understand, he's already been back at practice, ready to go. So do you think we're going to see quite a bit of him this week, or do you think he'll be limited because it's the first game back?
I'm not sure. So yesterday, they haven't made an announcement whether he was playing this game.
Okay.
Yesterday, he was a full participant at practice, and he said he felt ready to go, but it was going to be up to Nick Sirianni whether or not he actually plays. So I'm sure we'll find out soon. But Brandon Graham is also somebody else that's big in run support for us as well. So that'll be big having him on the field. Obviously, the run defense was terrible last time we played you guys. But having Brandon, Nakobe, Jalen Carter, if we can have all three of those guys back this week, that'll be big. Brandon Graham obviously had a great year last year. He said that he's been working out at NovaCare Complex throughout this entire offseason and pretty much been preparing for it. So we'll see. We'll see what he looks like if he's ready to go. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see him back on the field. And I'm like, of course, perfect timing to play the Giants. I couldn't have waited one more week. Would have been nice. But I think this is going to turn out to be a pretty good matchup. I think it's going to be a competitive game. But I've heard a lot of complaints from Eagles fans about Kevin Petula, the new offensive coordinator, and his play calling. From what you saw last week, do you think like he's finally getting in the groove and has figured out how to utilize AJ Brown and some of the other wide receivers better? Or do you think, kind of like the Giants with Shane Bowen, it's like we saw 1 week against the Eagles, we were like, oh my God, Shane Bowen had a great game plan. And then he does whatever he does against the Broncos, and you're just like, I want this guy gone. This is horrible.
Yeah, the jury's still out. I think it's a mix of him getting a little bit better, a little bit comfortable. This is his first year calling plays, but also like our leaders and our captains getting involved more. Devontae Smith was saying that he had some input on some of the play selection last game against the Vikings. So I think it's a mix of him getting a little bit better and then also the players being more vocal, getting a little bit more involved. Whatever it's got to be. So hopefully we can see some more consistency this week. I feel like the thing that hurt us in the game against y'all the first time was honestly our defense, mainly in my opinion. Like it was a lot of missed tackles. Obviously Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson having to both be in the game. Jalen Carter not in the game. Like I said, missing Nakobe Dean. I think our defense really just kind of went to sleep in that game. So I think our offense should be fine. I think it's just about the defense setting the tone.
Yeah. Are we going to see more of Ringo this week, especially if Adoree doesn't play, because he did not practice today either, it looks like?
So that's up in the air. So Jacorian Bennett is one of our cornerbacks that was on IR after the Buccaneers game. So okay. Jacorian Bennett is eligible this week. He was activated this week. So he's been practicing. Adoree Jackson did not practice yesterday. Don't know about today, but it will either be Quinyon and Jacorian if Jacorian's ready to go this week, or Quinyon and Ringo. But I'm sure if Jacorian's ready to go, it's going to be Jacorian over Ringo.
Yeah, I would think so too. One thing I thought was interesting was that Vic Fangio had nice words to say about Jackson Dart. So I'm curious to see, obviously with Fangio's experience in the league, he knows he's going against a rookie quarterback. And we were all worried about the Broncos last week, that was going to be the biggest test for Jackson Dart and how is he going to be able to handle it. And obviously outside of the interception, I feel like overall he did a great job, but I also feel like Fangio, knowing what he's seen on him from tape, what the Broncos did, is probably going to try and dial that up a bit. What has been your experience? What do you think about Fangio and what he's done so far?
Yeah, one thing about Vic, like he's an adjustment machine. We've seen that. This is his second year being our defensive coordinator, but one thing that we really appreciate about him is that he's willing to make adjustments. So yeah, I'm interested to see when we put Nakobe Dean. When Nakobe Dean got back on defense, we had to move Jahad Campbell at times coming off the edge, something that he did at Alabama, which worked really well for us against the Vikings, being able to have Nakobe and Jahad both on the field at the same time. So I'm interested to see this week, how he mixes it up, how he adjusts. For last week, I think the biggest thing, honestly, was like a lot of missed tackles in that game, which isn't necessarily a Vic thing at all.
Right.
So honestly, a lot of it is on the players. And then, of course, having some more talent on the floor. I mean, you can only do so much with what you're working with. And honestly, obviously, the ideal was never to have Adoree and Ringo starting together. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. As a Giants fan, I'm like, I hope we see it again this week. Would be great. Any help that we can take, we can get, I'd like to take. So you're going to the game on Sunday. I have never been to the Link. So tell me what an experience at an Eagles game at the Link is like, especially Eagles Giants, which I'm sure is going to be a little crazy.
Yeah, so it's just a great time. I've actually never been to MetLife, so I can't compare. But it's going to be packed out. It's a Kelly Green game. We are undefeated in Kelly Green. Some of our iconic moments came in Kelly Green. Saquon reverse hurdle, Jalen Hurts walk-off overtime win against the Bills. That was all in Kelly Green. So this is definitely going to be a game. This is the first Kelly Green game of the year, so, it's going to be packed out. Like, everyone's going to be at the game. It's just a very loud environment, especially for the opposing team's defense. So yeah, I'm going to try to do my part, get loud on third down, keep it loud in there. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm happy it's a 1:00 game too, because the Giants in prime time is one thing, but I also just I hate having to get in and out of the stadium on a primetime game.
Yeah.
The 1:00 game is so much better, and to be able to watch from home too. But I also want to hear a bit more about your experience covering the Eagles, because obviously, since I've been doing this since 2020, and I've had one good year with the Giants, because every other year has been a horrible season. And I'm sure since you've been doing it with the Eagles, it's been very different. So I'd love to just hear how you got started in this, and what your experience has been like, doing this for a team that actually wins. Must be fun.
So, I mean, it's been a little bit of up and down. Obviously, I started in around the same time, 2020. Okay. So we had, the end of the Carson Wentz era. So there was a lot of discourse, a lot of heat for takes and doing videos. I was honestly scared, starting out in that Carson Wentz kind of plummet, because everybody was so opinions were so polarized. So it was definitely a scary time to start making content and giving opinions. So yeah, thought we were going to be in a rebuild year with Jalen Hurts, but I mean, Jalen Hurts pretty much hit the ground running. We've been making the playoffs since. Thought the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts era was going to be a rebuild, but I mean, we started off fast. So yeah, I've been able to cover the team through 2 Super Bowl runs, obviously a loss. And then the downfall year, that was terrible. 2023, that was a terrible year making videos. So it's been some crazy, since I've been doing YouTube and content, it's been crazy. Carson Wentz drafting Jalen Hurts was crazy for content wise when we had Carson, and then when it was time to pull the plug on Carson, trading Carson, thinking we were going through a rebuild with Nick and Jalen, then not. They're going to the Super Bowl. Then the next year, thinking we're going back to the Super Bowl, and then it's terrible. And then the next year, going to the Super Bowl and winning. So it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah. That's the one thing that's the beauty of the NFL, I think. And I was talking about this week with someone, is that you never know what every year is going to bring. Even the way that the Giants have played this year, I was optimistic that the defense was going to be much better than the offense, because I felt like they had so much better pieces. And, I thought Russ was going to be better than obviously he was. And then I was like, oh my God, they're putting in Jackson Dart week 4 against the Chargers. We're going to get smoked.
Right.
So you never know what to expect. And I feel like this year specifically too, all of the upsets that have happened, it's just been really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's been a wild year. It's been crazy.
Yeah, even as a fan, I'm like, this is great.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good matchup on Sunday. Do you think that the Eagles are going to go ahead and take the NFC East? I mean, I guess as of right now, it's looking pretty good.
Shoot, I don't know, because Dallas want to have a little resurgence. I'm just glad we got our wins versus like the tough teams early.
Right.
So like Dallas still got to play the Rams. They still got to play the Chiefs. They still got to play the Buccaneers. So I'm just glad we got those wins somehow. Don't know how. We got to play Dallas again, but already got to win over them. Glad the Broncos, it was an AFC loss. So things been piecing a little bit in our favor. But this is a wild year. I hope Dallas doesn't make a trade, but if they make a little bit of trades here and there on defense, then, they could give us a little run for our money. But I feel like the ball is in our court.
Yeah. I think Dallas probably has the best shot too because of the way that Dak is playing, and Pickens has been unbelievable.
Right.
Now they get CD back, so it might be one of those years for them where they might just have to outscore every single team that they play if they can't get any help on defense. If the Giants had won one more game and were 3-4, I'd say maybe I'd be optimistic that
would have been like, if y'all won last week, that would have been crazy. Like,
I know.
For the division.
Yes. As even if we beat Dallas, like this is what's so frustrating to me about this football team this year is there's multiple games where if one thing goes differently, they're 4-3 or they're 3-4, or in like the craziest scenario, they're 5-2. And they can't seem to get it together. And I know it's still kind of early. I'm not optimistic on them making the playoffs, but I think they could potentially end up with some more wins maybe than I thought after they went 0-3.
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing I like about our losses. When we lose, I like to like be out of the game. Because then I wouldn't be like, oh, if this one thing happened, like, shoot, we played terrible against y'all. Ain't no ifs, ands, whatevers. Broncos game, the offense, it was close. The score was close, but like the way we kept punting, it was like we knew we was losing that game. So I do feel a little bit better about those losses versus like when you feel like you're in the game and it's like back and forth, and then it's like, man, if we just made that one field goal, if we just went for it, no, that was L.
Yes, at least you guys don't have to deal with that. That's for us and the Giants. It's literally every week. The Cowboys game, if they do one other play call that's not leaving Jake Ferguson wide open, that game's over and the Giants win. It's just, the same thing. If our kicker makes 1 or 2 extra points, game's over. It's it's very frustrating. So I hope it doesn't come down to that this week. Like I think some people are going to disagree with me on this, but I think I would rather have the Eagles just beat us by multiple scores than have it come down to the wire again and have it be like a missed field goal or a dropped touchdown or something like that, because it just feels like it's bad luck over and over. That's never ending.
It's more demoralizing, I feel like, as a fan. As a fan, I would rather get blown out because I would like to mentally check out of the game. Like, I don't want to lose no close game where I'm on the edge of my seat for 3.5 hours for what? Like, just blow me out if I'm going to lose. Now, obviously, the players, for their own morale, like, of course, they don't want to get blown out. But for me as a fan, I prefer to just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yes, I agree. Just make my life easier, please.
Right.
It's so brutal. So I'm glad that Sunday I'll be watching from home because I can, hopefully be like a little more calm. We'll see how things go. But with the game coming up on Sunday, what kind of content do you have coming up that we can look forward to from like an Eagles fan perspective, or what they should be excited about?
Oh my goodness. As you know, it'd be so much content you got to do on game day. It'd be so much work. But I'm gonna be doing some interviewing some fans.
Nice.
Little TikToks, little TikTok sounds. And I'm gonna be doing a giveaway at the tailgate.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So some tailgate content and then little TikTok sounds.
Awesome. The good stuff coming up. So, all right, if you had to pick, what do you think the final prediction is for the team win and the score?
Obviously I gotta go with my birds. I think we'll win by like 13. If defense does what it's supposed to do, it should be like a 13-point win.
Okay. I'm optimistic on our offense. I think they're going to be able to move the ball well and score some points. I'm very concerned about the kicking game and the coaching decisions, but I actually think that this will end up being a close game, and I think it could come down to like a final field goal or something like that. I'm gonna pick the Giants because I have to, but I think it could be like literally a 1-point game. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
I
But
hope
it
not.
also wouldn't surprise me if we lose by 25. So
Nothing will surprise me this football season, literally.
It's so true. But we know you're on TikTok, Instagram. Tell everyone where they can find you and see all of your content, because you do more than just Eagles too. I've seen your pics and outfits and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you can find me on all platforms at Symone with the Sports, SYMONE with the Sports.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks for
Have
having
fun
me.
Sunday.